in order to kick things off, I'm going to do a little poem to calibrate things. As it's an audience participatory show, then I'm going to ask you as audience to participate. Do you think you can do that?
Yeah!
Oh, there's hesitancy. Do you think you can do that?
Yes!
The theme for the poem is taken from our Archimedes screw. Now, Archimedes was a fantastic guy, and he invented lots of things. He invented the lever, evidently, which he used for tipping ships up at sea. He invented, or he discovered, water displacement as a way of weighing things. Put something heavy in, water comes out the top, something light, less water comes out. He worked out the relationship between a sphere and a cylinder. Big hand for Ark. I think so. He invented the first moving planetarium. He invented the Archimedes screw. Now I don't know how this poem's going to go, because I obviously haven't done it. Your task is to shout out, it's quite simple, 2 words. Those 2 words are, screw Archimedes. Okay? Ready? I want to hear you shout, screw Archimedes.
Screw Archimedes!
It's very good, it's very good. Performance poetry here though. Okay. So, what I want you to do next is to shout, screw Archimedes, as if it was sad.
Screw Archimedes!
I want you to shout out, screw Archimedes, if you're really angry with Archimedes.
Screw Archimedes!
I want you to shout out, screw Archimedes, if you're in pain.
Screw Archimedes!
That's pretty good, that's pretty good. Okay, so it's going to be up to you to decide the context of your screw Archimedes. But when I go like this, you go,
Screw Archimedes!
oh sorry, I didn't hear you!
Screw Archimedes!
A few years ago in Sicily, in 287 BC, there was a seafarer's town called Syracuse, conveniently set by the sea, where Phaedrus the astronomer sat contemplating stars, whilst his missus was sweating and cursing through the agonies of labour. She shouted,
Screw Archimedes! Screw Archimedes!
his head is far too wide!
Screw Archimedes! Screw Archimedes!
He's tearing out my insides. There was one hefty head on that fella, as in later years all would agree, a supercomputer with modem and router for solving life's complexities. Like when the Queen thought the jeweller was trying to fool her husband who happened to be king by palming him off with a crown of pure gold when it really was no such thing. That big old head on Archimedes, or figure it out, she said. He was taking a bath, thought she's having a laugh, dropped the soap and found an answer instead. Eureka! Eureka! He shouted, his testes bouncing up and down as he wiggled his hips and he waggled his head, running naked amok through the town. When the soap hit the water, it provoked a thought. When the soap fell in, water jumped out. That's water displacement. Now metal is heavy, of varying densities, so I can prove without a doubt. If the crown is pure gold, it will weigh the same amount even if I melted it down. So he popped off to the treasury and got a bar of gold to see, which caused the cunning jeweller to cry out,
Screw Archimedes! Screw Archimedes!
if it wasn't for that pesky kid, the king would have never known that I used silver and plated it gold for his lid.
Screw Archimedes! Screw Archimedes!
And his remarkable mathematical mind.
Screw Archimedes! Screw Archimedes!
And words that were equally unkind. Archimedes' head kept getting bigger. Answers just meant more questions to him. And soon he turned his thoughts to the sea that kept letting intruders come in. He didn't have glass, so he polished some brass, made a laser beam out of the sun, and burnt ships like ants as little boys do when sent outside to find some fun. And the crew shouted,
Screw Archimedes! Screw Archimedes!
the sun shines out his ascendancy!
Screw Archimedes!
Squabble, as their voices were swallowed by sea. He turned his thoughts to the sky, and with a blink of an eye he realised that something was wrong with the volume of spheres in comparison with a cylinder's spatial dimensions. He ate pie for his tea before shouting in glee, "Where can I find a girl for some kissing?" I found out that a sphere's just like a cylinder, only a cylinder's got a third of a sphere missing.
Screw Archimedes! Screw Archimedes!
Release some of that nervous tension!
Screw Archimedes! Screw Archimedes!
Because fuck is a word we can't mention. He stripped off for a ride and found moisture inside as he plumbed his way down to the bottom. But he broke off mid-stride to the poor forlorn cries of the maiden who he had forgotten. He said, "If I can find a way to get the moisture that stays at the bottom to rise to the top, on drought-stricken days I'll be able to bathe and even to water my crops."
Screw Archimedes! Screw Archimedes!
He's such a clever sod. If he would have been born 2 centuries later, he would have been declared the son of God. Now, whilst he was busy, the embittered enemy routed the walls of the town, and vast Roman hordes were brandishing swords, scything Syracusans down. Caesar said, "I don't want Archimedes dead. He's a genius, fit for the Senate." But a young Roman soldier whose dad fried at sea was determined Archimedes could get it. "Follow me, geezer. The gaffer wants a word," the centurion told Archimedes, who just ruffled his head before turning and said, "Can't you see, young man? I'm rather busy." In his hands he was holding a model of heaven, and as the soldier's sword shattered his sternum, Archimedes died, closing his eyes on the world's first moving planetarium.
Screw Archimedes! Screw Archimedes!
Your maths offered little defence.
Screw Archimedes! Screw Archimedes!
Now you're dead, so I guess that's the end.